Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He got three!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yo, what up? What's going on tonight? How y'all doing tonight? What is happening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world on this Thursday night YouTube? A lot going on, man. We do. Yeah, we got a lot going on, and even with the NBA season technically being over, we still have a lot to talk about because we still got a lot of movement, right? We still got a lot of movement, and we still got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I dig it, right? I absolutely dig it, and let's talk about it, man. Definitely, let's talk about it. So, I want to start, right? I want to start this conversation with the business of basketball. And when you see a takeover, you know exactly what it looks like. And the reason why you know exactly what it looks like is because that whoever is taking over, they offering something that nobody else has. They offering something that nobody else can offer, right? So when I see what's going on with Amazon basically making a coup with the NBA and basically trying to knock all the networks out. And the reason why they're doing that is because what we're doing right now with being on the internet, this is the future. This is what the future is going to look like. Streaming. Cable TV and all of that good stuff is going to be a thing of the past. This is going to be where you get all your information from. All of it. It's not going to be on the news, on television, on cable. It's going to be streaming. And the fact that Steve Bezos has put together let me rephrase that, not put together, but a lot of people think that you have to do a bunch of different things in order to be a billionaire, when in reality you don't. It really is just one great idea. Give people something that's necessary and give it to them, flood them with it, where they have to have this in their lives. If they don't have this in their lives, they can't function. A prime example. There was a time when there was this box that sat next to the phone, and if I called you and you weren't there, that was the end of it. I'll get with you later. There was a time when I had to pull over on the side of the road and get to a payphone and call you. I wasn't able to do that. But today, we have cell phones. We have text messages. And that kind of stuff, what it does is it now makes it necessary in your life. Right? It now makes it necessary in your life. You have to have this. You cannot function without this. That's what Jeff Bezos, not Steve Bezos, I'm sorry. That's what Jeff Bezos is doing with Amazon. He's making it so he's putting together things that you won't be able to function without this. And he's moving into sports, which is interesting because there's a handful of games. I don't think I've watched more than 5 games, NFL games on Amazon Prime. I haven't. But I'm almost 100% certain that there's going to come a point where I'm going to be watching more games because there's going to be something done where I now have to do this. Well, that's the same logic with the NBA. The same logic with the NBA. So Amazon makes a pitch to the NBA, right? Amazon makes a pitch to the NBA to broadcast games. So over an 11-year period, $76 billion. This isn't something that's half-assed. I can tell you that right now. This is not half-assed. This is not something that's sort of kind of. When you got that kind of money over the next decade or so, this is not going to be half-assed. So the things that were a problem initially, like lagging, picture quality, the setup, the entertainment, even though basketball is the entertainment, the Charles Barkley, the Shaq, the Ernie, the Kevin Harlan, the Reggie Miller, that has to get raised. Off the strength that we need to get eyes on this. 100% we do. Thanks, Brock. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much, Brock. I appreciate you. We got to get eyes on this. And in the process of us getting eyes on this, that means more traffic. More traffic means more bread. A wider audience. See, I've spoken to people who they don't really bother with TNT outside the country because they're on the internet or they're watching League Pass, which is streaming online. They don't really bother too much with TNT. So now when you get the NBA on the internet more than on TNT, now it becomes an even bigger deal because now you're streaming in the Philippines, you're streaming in Australia, you're streaming in India, right? You're streaming in all of these different places. And now that's cutting out the middleman. We could go straight to the NBA, right? We could go straight to the NBA. We don't have to go through cable services. Nope, y'all can come right to us. We come right to you, and we can get to the bottom of this. So with that being said, right? With that being said, what does this mean for TNT? Because TNT dropped the ball on this. You do not, I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have the best sports show on television and you let it go. No, you do everything that you can possibly do to ensure that this stays here. Now, is this a classic example of you never know what you got until it's gone? Did they neglect this? Because this isn't a situation where they didn't know. Now, I can understand, and I've read the reports where essentially what Jeff Bezos and Amazon is trying to do is they're trying to take this away. And the NBA and TNT in particular is like, no, y'all not doing that. No, you're not. But I feel like we're in a space now where it may be too late. It may be too late, considering the growth of the NBA on Amazon as opposed to the growth of the NBA on TNT. It may be too late. Now, with the contract is up, right? With the contract being up, with the contract being up, when TNT now submits an offer, we don't have to accept your offer off the strength that we are not contractually obligated to do that. Now, we don't have to do that. And the reason why we don't have to do that is because the contract is up. That's how contracts work. You honored your end of the deal. I honored my end of the deal. You thought you'd be able to just keep re-upping, but somebody comes along like Jeff Bezos and goes, I want the NBA on Amazon. I already got the NFL on Amazon. I want the NBA on Amazon. Peace, GOAT. I want the NBA on Amazon. And if I could get the NBA on Amazon, man, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble because our wider band of audience, because remember, our wider band of audience is going to bring in more traffic, which is going to bring in more money. Because remember now, right? Remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about TNT on cable. Not everybody has access to cable TV, which means you don't have access to TNT. You can access the internet anywhere. You can access the internet at a public library. You can access the internet on your phone. You can access the internet anywhere. Anywhere you like, you can access the internet. TNT limits who can access this. So because of that, Jeff Bezos and Amazon says, we won't limit you to this. Now, sure, when you have Amazon Prime, which I got Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime, you got to pay for it. And this is now something like the cell phone, where this is now a part of your life. Like, you can't go without this. You need it. This is now who you are. This is now a part of your life. I never thought that a cell phone would be necessary for me, but that's where we are now. Like, if I don't have this damn thing on me, I feel like I don't have a shirt on. And I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, but I feel naked if I don't have my phone on me. So with that, right? With that being said, Amazon came in and said, we'll take this off your hands. They're clearly not treating you like the commodity that they should be treating you. So what we'll do is we see the offer, whatever the offer was, and it wasn't even an offer now that I think about it. Amazon was the one who came in with the offer. Next thing you know, it's now become a big deal. Now, well, wait a minute. We have an opportunity to match this offer. I made this point earlier. What I equated to is you not being, your wife wants to go overseas, right? You want to take your wife away. I mean, your wife wants to go away. And one of her dream trips is to go to Barcelona, Spain. And you're kind of dragging your feet about it. It's not to say that you won't do it. You're kind of dragging your feet with it. Well, some dude comes along and he goes, well, not only will I take you to Barcelona, I'll take you to Paris too. I'll take you to Melbourne, Australia. And I'll take you to New York City. All the places that you ever wanted to see, I'll take you to Miami. Yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll take you to Los Angeles. I'll take you to Dubai. I'll take you to all of these places. She's like, really? Yes, I will. I will take you to all. Not only will I take you to all of these places, I'm going to show you the time of your life when I take you there. Now, all of a sudden, you show up with, all right, we can go to Barcelona, Spain. It's too late now. It's too late now. And why is it too late? It's too late off the strength that it's too late now because I've already seen where else I can go with him than where I could go with you. You only want to stay here. We can go anywhere and everywhere. Any and everywhere. So I think I think TNT dropped the ball with this. I think they dragged their feet. And now what they're doing is they're fighting for their lives. And I think they're going to lose, like any. And I think they're going to lose. I do. Unfortunately. I think they're going to lose. And they had an opportunity to fix this. Again, a long time ago, they had an opportunity to fix this, but they didn't. And now they find themselves in a space where this season coming up, the 24-25 season, may be their last season on TV with the NBA, which is going to be weird because, again, I can't say this enough. Excuse me. I can't say this enough when I say it was the best show on television. It was the best sports show on television, in my estimation. And when you have that, we can't let that go. This is the golden goose. Charles, Kenny, Shaq, Ernie. And it started with Ernie. You add Kenny Smith, then you add Charles. And then in the process of adding Charles, you guys are a trio. Then you add Shaq. And the majority of you aren't really that interested in their basketball insight. It's more entertaining than it is about basketball. Like Kenny will break down, right? Kenny will break down some footage. But for the most part, if you think about who Charles Barkley is today to you guys, who is Charles Barkley? He's the funny fat dude on TV. You kind of forget who he was as a ball player. That goes away. We forget how awesome he was as a ball player. He's been the funny fat dude on TV way longer than he's been the elite basketball player. Charles has been on TNT, what, over 20 years? He was a great ball player for 10, maybe 12 years. Charles was a great ball player for, let's see, he showed up in 84. He was a great ball player for probably 12 seasons. At the 97, it got tricky. He started to go the other way, and rightfully so. But the point I'm making is that's who Charles is. He's the funny fat guy on television. And that's what this crew is. And that's what they've been for, you see, Shaq got on the crew in 2011, 2012. So he's been on the crew for over 10 years. For over 10 years, he's been on the crew. So it's the best show, sports show on television. And then you got guys like Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller calling games. It doesn't get much better than that. As good as those guys are on ESPN, right? As good as those guys are on ESPN, right? Doris Burke, right? As good as they are. Kevin Harlan, not just Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller, they're great. They are great. So you have to hold on to that. But they didn't. They dropped the ball. 100% they dropped the ball. And because they dropped the ball, I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be difficult to get her back. Brock, you're wrong about Doris Burke. Doris Burke to me is like Santa Claus. Like whenever I see Doris Burke, it's like seeing Santa Claus, because when I see Santa Claus, I think Christmas. When I see Doris Burke, I think basketball season. That's what I think when I see her. And I get so excited. I get so happy because that's exactly what it means. It's exactly what it means when I see her. So with that being said, what up, Aaron? How you doing, brother? With that being said, what does this mean moving forward? Doris knows the game. Yes, she does. Doris definitely knows the game. And if you don't think that she knows the game, you ain't listening. Doris definitely knows the game. There's no way I can argue that. And she's a real good color commentator. She breaks plays down. She's not Jeff Van Gundy good, because Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were exceptional. But she's right up there. No doubt about that. Now, with that being said, and you can't be objectively biased. You can be subjectively biased. You can't be objectively biased. No. With that being said, this is bad for the NBA. I mean, this is bad for TNT. It is. Because I'm to move away from what was working, right? To move away from what was working kind of throws a monkey wrench in what was really going on. And was it working? Yes, it was working. Not only was it working, the talent was there, the setup was there. So now we got to have something different, right? So no more. So now gone are the days after the 24-25 season, gone are the days of 40 games and 40 nights. So that's over, right? Excuse me. So how do you replace that? Right? How do you replace 40 games and 40 nights? That's going to be tough to do. And each season, they split with ESPN, right? So the one year they'll do the Western Conference Championship. The next year they'll do the Eastern Conference Championship. They trade with ESPN. This year they did the Western Conference Championship. Last year they did the East. So now you lose that. Now, what does that mean for Amazon? how do they keep eyes on this? Now, again, one of the major things about being able to keep eyes on this is the fact that it's on the internet. The fact that it's on the internet. And it's way more feasible on the internet than it is on cable. Way more. Way more. So I think the business of basketball can suck sometimes. I won't argue that. But we can't talk objectively about basketball unless you're clear on what the business of basketball is. We can't have an objective conversation unless we're clear on what the business of basketball looks like. We can't. 100% we can't. So I got a super chat from Modest Review. He says, Jeff Bezos reminds me every day that money is power. Oh, 100% it is. Hell yeah. When you got bread, you can do a lot of different things. Yep. When you got bread, you can do a lot of different things. So I want to talk tonight about, and again, I understand the business of basketball, but I want to talk tonight and I want to check your temperature because this season, this is the 77th. Let's see. Yep. We just finished the 77th season of NBA basketball. So the league MVP was given out for the first time in the 55-56 season. Right? In the 55-56 season. That was almost 70 years ago. 68 years ago. And in them 68 years, we've had some pretty damn good league MVPs. Pretty damn good league MVPs. If you could go back, right? If you could go back and do some homework, or not necessarily do some homework, in your estimation, if you think about all the league MVPs from when the league MVP was first given out, that first year in the 55-56 season, which league MVP, which 10 league MVPs, top 10, are the best of all of them? Which ones are the best? Because there are plenty that I think about that are pretty phenomenal. I mean, Chamberlain winning Rookie of the Year and league MVP. He averaged almost 40 and 30. I know that sounds ridiculous to say that. Yeah, he averaged almost 40 and 30. He averaged 38 and 27. Right? If you think about the great MVP seasons, right? If you think about the great MVP seasons, that season, that the 62 season, when Russ went 19 and 24, that was one of the best seasons overall. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Elgin Baylor came in fourth place that year in league MVP votes. And he went almost 40 and 20. That's ridiculous. Right? That's ridiculous that a guy comes in fourth place and he goes almost 40 and 20. And a guy comes in third place and he goes 30. I think he went 30, 10, and 10 that year. You know, Elgin Baylor went 38 and 18 that year, and he came in fourth place in league MVP votes. Yep. Came in fourth place. I think Bob Pettit came in fifth place. He went 32 and 18. That's almost 30 and 20. That's almost 30 and 20. Wes Unseld, that's one of the trickier league MVPs. I mean, he was a rookie, and he won league MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same year. Considering what he did for that Baltimore unit, right? Considering what he did for that Baltimore unit, you know, they went from a team that was a good team. So I think they were at the top of the Eastern Conference. So Bird in 84, Bird in 86, Magic in 87, Jabbar, any of Jabbar years, any of them, any of Jabbar's years could be in the top 10, any of them. I personally think the 71, 72 season, I think he went 35 and 17 that year. I think he went 35 and 17 that year. It's either that year or his first year with the Lakers, where he basically had the same season that Joker had, right? He basically had the same season in the 75-76 season that Joker had when Joker won the league MVP the second time. And it was in 6th place. And he basically led the NBA. He was either 1 or 2 in the NBA in everything. And yeah, the Lakers didn't make the playoffs, but remember what the format was during that time. All right? Remember what the format was during that time. And I know it sounds ridiculous. So the top 10, right? The top 10 MVP seasons in NBA history. I mean, Jordan in 92. Yeah, Jordan in 92. I already know how you guys feel about Jordan in 88. I actually think Jordan was better in 89 than he was in 88. A lot of people are big on what they saw Michael Jordan doing in. A lot of people are big on what they saw Michael Jordan doing in 88. I thought he was a better player in 89 than he was in 88. I thought he was a much better player in 89 than he was in 88. I think he was smarter. He was a better distributor. I think he was a better defender. Yeah, they was cooking the books, but they wasn't just cooking the books for Jay. They was cooking the books for everybody. They were not just cooking the books for Jay. They were cooking the books for everybody. Right? So you didn't have time. If we're having a candid conversation about this, I'm a reporter for the Portland Tribune, and I'm focused on watching the Trailblazers as much as I can watch the Trailblazers. I don't have an opportunity because we live in a different time now. All 82 games aren't on TV, so I don't get to see them every night, right? I don't get to see them every night, and I'm only able to go off of opening up the newspaper. So if I got an MVP vote and I'm opening up the newspaper after I watched Clyde Drexler and the Trailblazers, and I open up the newspaper in 1989 and I see that Jordan went for 8 steals last night, or Jordan went for 4 steals last night. Like, damn, Jordan went 33. He went 10 and 9 last night in 4 steals. Wow. And I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I'm only going off what I saw in the newspaper. And then I might be able to catch 1 or 2 of his games throughout I was about to say the school year, I'm sorry. Throughout the season. I'm only able to catch 1 or 2 of his games. Right? So with that being said, the only information that I really have is in the newspaper, in the box score watch during that time. We don't have, at that time, the tools that we have today, like the internet, like NBA TV, like TNT, like ESPN, like League Pass, like regional sports, like Fox Sports and things like that. So I'm an advocate of how important it is to have this stuff today, because 20 years from now, you're going to be able to, whomever challenges this, you're going to be able to say, yeah, I was around during this time. And I saw Damian Lillard on the regular. I didn't see Damian Lillard only when it came on NBC or when they only came on TNT. No, I had League Pass. You probably don't know what that is today, but yeah, I had League Pass. And we had access to all of their games. I was able to see Jalen Green. One of my biggest pet peeves is being able to watch games. And I'm on record saying, man, I wish. I'm not saying that I hope. I'm saying I wish I could have seen more Stockton and Malone. I didn't get to see them until I moved out to Utah. And I was able to see them on a regular. And remember, I moved out to Utah in the early 90s. So Stockton had already been in the league for 8-9 years. Malone had been in the league at that point for 7-8 years. 8-9 years when I move out there. So they're in their prime. So I only got to see 4 or 5 years. I ain't get to see 87, 88 Malone. I didn't get to see that dude unless they was on in the playoffs or they were on CBS playing the Lakers, which wasn't a lot. Point that I'm making with this is when these writers have league MVP votes, all they could go off of was the box score. So I understand why Jordan was winning league MVP. I understand why Bird was winning league MVP. I understand that because you got writers in Boston who, like, they don't get a chance to see Clyde Drexler on the regular. They don't. They don't know what he really out there doing, except opening up the paper and getting the box score. So when I think about the top 10 MVP seasons of all time, I think Chamberlain is up there. Either Chamberlain's rook season or Chamberlain winning it or Chamberlain winning it 3 straight years. Chamberlain's 67 season was pretty remarkable. I mean, he went 24-24 that year and led the league in assists. He went 24-24 that year and led the league. And I know that sounds ridiculous to you dudes today. That's the thing that, like, the further we get away from this, right? The further we get away from guys like Chamberlain, right? Guys like Magic. And we see these cartoon numbers, right? We see these video game numbers. It doesn't really sound legit. You know, Stockton averaged 14 assists. He averaged 13 assists for 11 years. Stockton averaged 14 assists for 5 years. I know that sounds ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, for 3 years, Stockton averaged 14 assists. And he had a 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio doing that. I'm confident that today, if you line up all 30 GMs, right? If you line up all 30 GMs and you ask them, if you could get a guy that's 14 dimes, right? If you could get a guy that gives you 14 dimes on a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio on a Tuesday, how many of you guys are doing that? Every last one of them. Every last one of them are doing that. If we could get that. So, yeah, I understand that, you know, Stockton at no point was ever considered the league MVP. I do think that he played at that level, though. I 100% believe he played at that level. From 1990, I want to say from 88 to 91, he played at that level. He played at an MVP level. So, right? Chamberlain in 67, I think that's up there. Jabbar in 70, I think Jabbar in 75, 76. They didn't make the playoffs because the format was different. If the format was like it was today, they would have made the playoffs. The format was not conducive to what it was back then. Even though Milwaukee had a better record than who was in that division that year? They had a better record than the division winner. And the division winner ends up going to the playoffs. That's the way that works. Even though they had a better record than the division winner. That's how they missed the playoffs. And they had a better record. And Jabbar in 75, 76. Jabbar in 72. He was phenomenal. Chamberlain in 67. Bill Russell in 62. I think Bill Russell in 62 was definitely up there. because you only get to pick 10, right? You only get to pick 10. So Chamberlain, Bill Russell in 62, Chamberlain in 67, Jabbar in 72, Magic in 87, Bird in 86, Jordan in 92. I know about Jordan in 88 too, because he won the Defensive Player of the Year, in addition to winning even though I thought he had a better season in 89 than he did in 88. Let's see, Magic in 80, Bird in 86, Magic in 87, Jordan in 92, Shaq in 2000, Duncan in 2003. Is that a top 10? Is that a top 10? Duncan in 2003. Is that a top 10 league MVP season all time? Considering what that crew was, Avery Johnson was not Avery Johnson, I'm sorry. Tony Parker was in year 2. Manu Ginobili was a rook. David Robinson was over. Steve Kerr was over. They had Kevin Willis on that crew. Steven Jackson at that time. He had been a journeyman. KG's 04 season was not better than James in 09. It wasn't better than James in 13. And I don't think it was better than any of those other seasons that I mentioned. That's interesting, man. It is. You're talking when you're talking about the top 10 MVP seasons, what is the criteria, right? What is the criteria? Yeah, Bird in 84 and in 86, 30. 100%. 100%. Bird in 84 and in 86. Again, I'm thinking Russell in 62, Chamberlain in 67. I'm thinking Jabbar in, if I only get to pick one, I'm picking Jabbar in 70, even though Jabbar in 72 was, they lost in the Western Conference Championship, but the postseason doesn't matter. We're talking about the regular season because that's what the league MVP is. I'm picking Jabbar in 75, 76 because I thought that was better work. When he got on that crew, they were Charlotte. They were at the bottom of the league. They were Portland when he got on that crew. They go from being that to they go from being that to a playoff team. Russ in 62, Chamberlain in 67, Jabbar in 75. Bird in 84, and Bird in 86. But if I only get to pick one, I'll take Bird in 86 instead of Bird in 84. Actually, no, I won't. I'll take Bird in 84 over Bird in 86. He was fantastic in 84. He was playing at an all-league defensive level at that point. I'll take Magic in 87. I'll take Jordan in 92. I'll take Shaq in 2000. Now, this is in no particular order, by the way, because I can get the order down. Shaq in 2000. I want to say Duncan in 90. I want to say Duncan in 2003. Steph Curry has to be in there. First unanimous league MVP. Olajuwon in 94. I don't think Kobe Bryant had a top 10 MVP season all time. No, I don't think so. His MVP season wasn't better than James Harden's. It wasn't better than Giannis's, the year Giannis won the Defensive Player of the Year and the league MVP. It wasn't better than any of those years. It wasn't better than Duncan's 2003 season. Did I say James? I'm pretty sure I said James in 13. I think it was better than 07. So I'm interested. Those are some of the ones off the top of my head. What up?
Yo, what's good, Chill?
Uh,
Honestly, Chill, I think you gotta put, in my opinion, 85 is Bird's best MVP season. We talking about practically averaging 29, 10, and 5, Chill.
yep.
And he was efficient. I think that was his first or his second highest career high in terms of points per game for a season.
Yep.
So and then and then comparing it slightly, I do agree with you on the I believe it was 86. Yeah, it was 86. No, 84 team. His defense is a little better, but I think the scoring, I think the offense at its peak during that season. At least some of the games I watched during the regular season.
I actually
That's
think
why I
that
think yeah.
I actually think that of all of those, 88 was the best. That's when I think he should
No,
have won the
no,
league MVP in 88.
yeah, they gave it. They gave it to. Him. But
They gave
yeah,
it to
he
Jordan.
was actually at his best.
I
Mhm.
thought he should have won it in 88. That was and I wasn't much of a Bird guy more than I was a Jordan guy. I was a big time Bird fan, but I thought of all of those seasons, 84, 85, and 86, I thought 88 was the best of all
Yeah.
of them. I thought 88 was the best. But if I had to choose between the two, considering what he had done in 84, remember they had gotten swept the year before that in 83. They got
Hmm.
a new coach. In addition to them getting a new coach, Bird had committed more on defense. He was already
Hmm.
committed on defense. And on top of that, him having to deal with Bernard King that year, who was leading the league in scoring. That's who he edged out that year. And he edged him out on the offensive side of the ball as a distributor. Because I think Bird finished that year second in the league in scoring, if I'm not mistaken. I think he averaged
If he
28
was a
games that
sec,
year.
yeah, if he was a second, he was definitely third.
Yeah, I think he averaged
Easily
28
top
a
third.
game that year in 84,
Yeah.
something like that. And he was a double-figure rebounder
Yep.
in 84. So when I again, I'm on record saying this, 88 was better than all 84, 85, and 86. I thought 88 Bird was better than all of them dudes. All of them. But with that being said, if I can only pick one, because he didn't win the league MVP in 88, I think it's 84.
No, it's 84 to 86. That's his three straight. And I think it's 85.
84, 85, 80, yeah, 84, 85, 86,
Yeah.
sure. So that's where I'm at with that.
So like I think you got like six obvious, right? You got you was going back and forth between Wilt's rookie and one of his three straight.
I'm
So
taking
you got
67 Wilt. I'm taking 60, even though rookie Wilt, I mean, he won the league MVP and the rookie of the year, but ain't nobody ever seen nothing like Wilt. So I think that's a little bit different. 67 Wilt, I feel like he was different.
Yeah, he definitely changed up his game. We all know, especially
Yeah.
y'all talk about plenty of times on the panel on how much his game changed. But
Yeah.
that year, I'm just trying to help you out with the obvious ones. That
Right.
year, obviously
So-
13 James,
Okay. 13 James, Curry, Shaq.
Curry
in
16,
2000,
Shaq in 2000. What's
Elijah
Jordan
Wan
one?
in 94. I'm taking Jordan in
Elijah 1
92.
94.
I'm taking Jordan in
92?
92. I'm taking Jordan 92 over because the 88 Jordan, I think 89 Jordan was better than him. And
Okay.
I catch a lot of heat for that. But I think 89 Jordan was better than 88 Jordan. I think he was a better
Okay.
distributor. I think he was a better distributor, a better playmaker. I actually think he was better on defense too. I know that sounds ridiculous considering, and if we being honest, 30, it ain't just Jay. They was cooking the books for everybody. They was cooking the books. It wasn't just
Yeah.
we just found out about it from Jordan. That's what I talked
No,
about.
we found
when I
out about
said
it.
that.
Actually, at least for me, like the first time I found about it was actually with John Stockton. But then so far, I haven't found no proof of a king. So far,
Yeah.
it's been two guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. But
Absolutely.
nevertheless,
Yep.
when we go to me personally, Chill, I thought 96 I have some consideration for Jordan because, in my opinion, I think that was arguably his best defensively. That's where you saw one, he had the motivation, obviously, again, losing to Orlando, coming in better shape. And then number two, in my opinion, I thought from a cerebral standpoint, that's when we saw Jordan's defensive IQ go to another level.
Well,
Even though he wasn't
Jordan no
as
more. He wasn't.
no,
Air
yeah, he
Jordan.
wasn't that explosive,
Sure.
but he was definitely smarter. He was
Mhm.
definitely smarter, definitely a little stronger, and you definitely saw him make less mistakes. He gambled way less than 96. 96 don't. I think 96 Jordan don't get enough credit for his defensive prowess. And then so obviously you stuff like that with 72 and 10. You know what I mean? So, but nevertheless, I think that deserves consideration. I think Westbrook.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing: if they and I could get with you on that 30, if they didn't win 69 games the next year,
What does that have to do with 72? 72 is better. What you talking about?
and here's why, and this is why the monkey wrench gets thrown in it for me.
Because you mentioned this, you mentioned it on the panel too. I
Yeah.
always want to ask the question.
This is why the monkey wrench gets thrown in it for me because the MVP committee they screwed this up. Jordan should have won the
Yeah.
league MVP in 97. Malone should have won it in 98. He won
Yeah.
it in 99. They screwed those 2 years up. It should have been Jordan in 96 and in 97. It should have been Malone in 98 and in 99. They get those 2 screwed up. So the fact that he didn't win it in 97, even though they were right there, I mean, I think they won 69 games that year. They were just as good. He still was just as good. He was still just as good. I don't think that they gave it to Malone because they didn't want to give it to Jordan again. I thought they screwed up. I do. So with that being said, the fact that he had a similar season is very similar to what happened in 88 and in 89, which I thought he was better in 89 than he was in 88, and they gave him the league MVP. I thought he was better. I thought he was better in terms of being cerebral and being smarter. Like, I'm back. I got this thing figured out again. I thought he was better in 97 than he was in 96. So again, that's definitely a tough one. But hey, Sturdy, good to talk to you, brother. I appreciate it. No doubt. What up?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing?
What up?
Can you hear me well?
Yep, you hot.
Okay, I was just wondering what your thoughts on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 71-72 season.
Yikes. Didn't he go like, didn't he do something ridiculous? Like, I think he went like 34 and 18 that year.
34 and 16. It's 34 and I'm looking at it right now. I just wanted to pull it up.
Right.
I didn't want to lie to you.
I know it was like 34 and 16, 34
Almost
and
35. It was 34.8.
Right. So 35 and like 16, 35 and 17, something ridiculous like that. Milwaukee was at the top of the Western Conference. They wasn't in the East. I'm sorry, they was at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think that was the first year. Nope, it was in 73. It was when they started counting blocks. They didn't count blocks yet, but he was a force defensively, ridiculous on the defensive end of the floor. So when I think about Jabbar that season, if I had to pick between that season and 75, 76, again, we ain't talking about the better player. We're talking about the guy, not just the better player, but who's the most valuable. Think about what he did in 75, 76. He gets on that Laker team. They're the Trailblazers, right? They're Detroit when he gets on that Laker team. And if the format is what it is today, they make the playoffs. It went to the division winner, even though Milwaukee had a better record than them.
Right.
They end up making the playoffs, and Milwaukee ends up missing the playoffs. That's why they missed the playoffs, off the strength that they had a better record. If the format was what it was today, he would make the playoffs. That would definitely happen. But if I had to choose between those two, I got to go with 75, 76 because he was more valuable to that crew.
Even though the stats don't match up, you just think the value right there just.
Well, that's what the MVP is. We can't just look at that's what I'm talking about when I talk about criteria, right? So what is the criteria? Because we got guys who average a ridiculous amount of points, but how valuable is that to their crew? I'll give you a prime example, Brock. I mean, Kevin Love, he was up in Minnesota, 26 and 14, 20 and 15, 22 and 13. It was empty though.
Yep, I got you.
Empty.
So you just think that I heard you kind of say the same thing about Luka Doncic. You said you thought it'd be a lot better if it was 25 points instead of maybe 30.
Man, if that 34, 9 and 9 was 28, 10 and 8, and Dallas was a 3 seed or 2 seed, Luka wins the league MVP going away. I think he wins it going away.
By that criteria, though, shouldn't Tatum have won the MVP then?
He should have, 100%.
And the reason I say that is because he goes down all the stats, you know what I mean? But his everything else goes up. His playmaking, his defense, all that goes up. But his efficiency also dropped. I think that's what got him on the MVP. Is his efficiency dropped.
And his scoring dropped also. 100% his scoring dropped.
Well, right. But that's going to happen when you add Kristaps Porzingis and an all-star as well in Drew Holiday.
Sure.
I mean, he gave up a lot of the offense to those guys. So that's going to happen. I'm not faulting him for averaging less points. I'm faulting him because he was taking, and I'm a Tatum guy, okay? So I'm not just up here trying to fight with you on Tatum like everyone else does.
Right.
My point is that he takes ill-advised shots, and we both know that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he goes down the lane, he settles for that three. Man, take that guy to the basket. I watched him pulling up in Orlando, right? Franz Wagner, I'm not knocking him, great defender, great player. Man, you're shooting contested threes, and Franz Wagner says, "Take him to the rim."
He did let guys off the hook. He does do that instead of taking guys to the rim because he can finish at the rim.
And I'm watching him against, and I'll get off this. I know you're trying to talk about MVP, not just Tatum. But I'm watching him against better defenders, and Bam Adebayo and Evan Mobley. He takes him to the rack, man. He's dunking it. He's getting tough layups on him. So I don't understand why against worse defenders, he's like, well, I'm gonna shoot the contested three against them.
Right.
When better rim protectors, he can take them. One more player, real quick, if you don't mind me asking about thoughts on 96, 94 Oscar Robertson. And I got the stats pulled up if you need.
Oh, sure. I mean, Oscar ended up winning the league MVP that year. That was the year he didn't average a triple double. That's why everybody barely. Right, I think he was like 39 and 9, something crazy like that.
It was 31. I'm looking at the stats. 31, 11, 9.9 rebounds. So like he did it, but he was
right.
Right.
So he was 30. So he was 31, 10 and 10. Right. I do get that. And Cincinnati was a lot better. I think they finished in second place in the Eastern Conference that year. Yeah, I think they finished in second place in the Eastern Conference, which, that's a feat considering you got to deal with the Celtics as much as they did. And the fact that he did what he did running with Wayne Embry, I think you have to consider that. But I don't
talk about him. I don't know much about him as a young guy. I really don't know much
about Oscar Robertson.
No, Wayne Embry.
Wayne Embry, glass cleaner, not just glass cleaner. He was real good around the bucket. He was a real good defender too. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look at some tape of him. I try to look at some of the older guys so I can talk ball with guys like you and not actually know what I'm talking about. Do you think Oscar Robertson's 63, 64 season was better than Russell Westbrook's 2017 season or no?
Well, if I did, then I would have to use the same logic that I used with Jabbar. I got to use that logic with Russ, because we all thought that, and I'm definitely guilty of this. I thought Oklahoma City was going to be garbage after they lost KD. Right. I did not think that they were going to be very good.
Right.
I think they lost Ibaka that year too. I don't think he was there anymore. So, I mean, we're rolling with Andre Roberson, and the fact that Russ does what he does. He led the league in scoring. I think he was second in the league in assists, and he averaged double-figure rebounds. And he took that team, which at that time, the Western Conference was a nightmare, right? So, a 46 win team. I wasn't a big fan of Russ winning the league MVP. I wasn't. But if you're asking me,
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off. You weren't a fan, I thought, because he did it again and then he didn't get the MVP. It's not only that he didn't deserve it.
No, that's not. It's not only that. That's part of it.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm not a big fan of it is because of the fact that winning matters when you win the league MVP. And I watched the Russell Westbrook and that Oklahoma City Thunder team finish in 6th place. I saw Jordan in the 88-89 season. He went 33-8. He went 33-8-8. That Jordan was better than the Jordan who won the league MVP. He didn't sniff the league MVP in 88. And they finished in 6th place. He didn't sniff it. He didn't come close to winning it, but you give it to Russ, right? You give it to Russ off the strength that he was more valuable. When Jordan's second best player was Sam Vincent, his third best player was Charles Oakley. That's who he was running with.
So who do you think impacted their team more on those two teams? Do you think Jordan impacted his team more, or do you think Russell Westbrook impacted his team more in Oklahoma?
I think they looked to Jordan more, man. He had a rook, Scottie Pippen, Sam Vincent. I mean, I think Charles Oakley made the All-Star team that year. And that was off the strength of playing with Jay. But when I look at what Russell Westbrook did in terms of his impact, they were garbage when he was off the floor. Let's be clear about that. When he was out the game, they were trash. I can say the same thing about the Bulls. They were awful because Jordan was their whole offense, just like Russ was their whole offense. The scorer that he was, the defender that he was. I think it was Jordan.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I am out of questions for you. Thank you so much for bringing me up here, man.
Brother. Yep. What up, brother?
What up, Joe? You hear me?
What's up, brother?
What's up? So, in terms of the top 10 MVP seasons, you know what? It's I want to go in backwards. I'm gonna say Giannis was the last all-time great MVP season. I think the 2020 season.
When he won the MVP and the Defensive Player of the
Year. He deserved both of those awards, and that was an overwhelmingly dominant season by Giannis, just from an efficiency. I think always he was about 28 and 12 for Giannis. So I think for the most part he was back. There was a time where I thought that would get better. I thought the gap would be like a 2013 run. I thought it was gonna get so far, but then obviously Jokic started to catch him, and it was a kind of a weird thing where he kind of overtook him.
Right.
But I don't think Jokic has had a better season than that. I think he's had a better cumulative years than that as a player and kind of his overall skill set. Then Steph in 2016. I think
1 second,
that
Mari.
was
1 second, Mari. I want you to rewind. 22-23 Joker, the year that Embiid won the league MVP. Is that as good as what Giannis did in the 1920 season? Because I'd like to think so. He was pretty awesome that year.
It was close.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, the separator is always going to be on the defensive end. I don't think that's actually a criteria for MVP, but I think it should be. Like, I think if you're the most dominant player on both ends of the floor and one of the best scorers in the league, and at that time, Giannis's scoring had kind of taken a jump to the point where he wasn't having the same issues he was having in 2019, but you could still build the wall. So that was the kind of thing with Giannis at the time. Who did he lose to in the end? Was it Miami he lost to in the conference finals? It was Miami.
Yeah, he got hurt. He rolled his ankle. Yeah, he rolled his ankle. He got hurt.
Yeah, he rolled his ankle. I realize he's quite injury prone, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Giannis. More injury prone. More injury prone than people give you credit for. Steve Jokic. Yeah, it was close because Jokic was 29, 11, and 29, basically almost average a triple double. Was 24, 12, and 9.
And they were at the top of the Western Conference. They were at the top of the West that year. So with that being with that being said, you talking about the defensive side. That's why I think Shaq's 2000. I think that's a top 5 MVP season all time in 2000. I think he should have won it unanimously that year. To be honest,
he should have. Yeah, I don't know who the voter's name was, but he always mentions in interviews, Shaq, where he says, "This guy stole it from me." And they did the same thing with LeBron James 2013, where they gave it to Carmelo Anthony. It's just absolutely disgusting work. But I think Shaq's 2000 season, 2013 run is up there as well. But Shaq's 2000 season, I think, is the most impactful MVP season in the last 30 years, and it's the most impactful season in the last 25. I don't think there's anybody who has had the peak of that offensive season at that point and then carried it over for the rest of the year. It was almost like Shaq got better for the year. He goes from averaging 29.7, I think, and 13 rebounds to going to 35 and 15 in the finals. I don't think anybody's ever had that kind of clear path of dominance over an entire league, but it doesn't seem close. He was the second best player in 2000. What, Tim Duncan?
Yes.
I don't think anybody was talking about Tim Duncan 25 years ago comparative to Shaq in that season.
Not at that time. And Tim Duncan was on his way. Don't get me wrong. Tim Duncan at that point, he had gotten hurt that year in the playoffs. And that's when Shaq had clearly separated himself from Duncan. And Duncan closed the gap around 2003. That's when he got back in it.
But Shaq was older.
I feel like he may have overtaken Shaq at that point. However, at that point, when we're talking about in 2000, I mean, and Amari, you just mentioned it. We're talking about the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Shaq finished second in Defensive Player of the Year that year. And
was he first ever NBA or was he second team?
He was first team.
He
was first team. He was first team. He was first team All NBA. He was second team All Defense. Lonzo Mourning was first team All Defense because he was the Defensive Player of the Year that year. Even though Shaq averaged more rebounds than he did that year.
I think he averaged more blocks as well. I think Shaq was.
Yes.
I mean, that team was different. I think that Shaq was different. I mean, that team won 67 games as well. I know they struggled against Portland in the playoffs, but they were a different kind of team. I would give Tim Duncan to
which I wanted to ask you. When you're talking about the league MVP, does what you do in the postseason? I know that it's a regular season award, but does that sweeten it? Like, for example, with Shaq winning the NBA championship, does that sweeten your MVP season? When Jordan wins it in 92 and they win the NBA championship, does that sweeten it? What James did, right? Does that sweeten it?
In context for these type of conversations, yes. In terms of evaluating them in the year, no. So I think if you're talking about historical presidents, I think you have to do something that is spectacular throughout the course of that MVP season for me to put you in the annals of the great seasons. Because you have a great regular season. Like Russell Westbrook 2017 season, I thought it was a great season, but I didn't think it was good. Like, he got eliminated in the first round. That's where the story ends of his season. Oh, he got eliminated in the first round. So how impactful was you really throughout the course of the year? It's not fair, but I just think that's how it should be. And I think when you're looking at, I think having that season where you win a championship, or maybe even if you come close, but most of these MVP seasons will either come with the player coming close that are in the top 10, or winning the MVP or winning the title. So I think the reason why I would put also like something like Hakeem's 94 season, not only because he was Defensive Player of the Year, but he's also the All-Star MVP. He was also the Finals MVP. He was also the best defensive player in the league, the best offensive player in the league.
Well, he didn't win the All-Star game. He didn't win the All-Star MVP in '94. Scottie Pippen won. It was in Minnesota.
Was it '95 he won it?
No, he won it in. David Robinson won it in '95. He won it in '94. Now,
okay.
in '94, Scottie Pippen won the All-Star game MVP in Minnesota. That's when we actually started to find out who actually Scottie Pippen was. But yeah, that's good stuff, Amari. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Good to talk to you. Yep. What up?
Hey, yes.
What up?
Did you get me? You
yep,
get me?
You hot? What up?
Well, after seeing Bobby get his ass kicked yesterday, in that battle, man, which was brutal, the T-Mac James Harden shit, I gotta do that. I was just like, this is he done took a serious L, but I didn't want to get into that.
Nobody's
nobody's gonna win that. But top 10 MVP seasons. Oh wow, this was a dandy. I'm looking down the list. I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to find a criteria, like be honest with you, because these numbers this shit is out of line. Yeah, where do you rank Moses 82 a year? This is I'm reading off, what is this, 31 and 15?
Mm-hmm. Houston finished fourth that year.
Yep. And Houston finished
that year. They finished fourth that year.
Did Houston make the finals that year, or that was the year before?
No, it was the year before.
The year before. Okay, all right. So where you rank Moses at? Because I know you a little old school, man.
I'm high on Moses, but I think in '83 was better than in '82.
Okay, just by like just basketball standards, or just like how you going by it? Do you do it by the numbers, or you?
It's not just by the numbers. Again, what does MVP stand for? It's not just the best player in the league. It's the most valuable. It's the most valuable to your team's success. So when I think about what Bill Russell did in '62, and the fact that Boston was at the top of the Eastern Conference, when I think about how much better Chamberlain was in '67, and the fact that Philly was at the top of the Eastern Conference when he asserted himself more as a distributor and as a playmaker, right? When I think about Jabbar, when I think about they were Detroit, the Lakers was Detroit before he got on that crew. He gets on that crew and he makes them a legit playoff team, but because of the format, it doesn't work. So when I think about my criteria, how impactful are you how impactful are you to winning? Did you win during that season? Did you win? How impactful were you to winning? And how far were you guys able to go? Because winning, what happens with winning is winning validates the league MVP. That's why I think that's why I feel like when you're talking about the best MVP seasons, when they won the championship, I feel like it validated it even more. So what Olajuwon did in '94, what Jordan did in '92, what Bird did in '84, stuff like that. I feel like that validates the league MVP season more.
I feel like for me, I kind of just look at the year. I mean, like I don't really involve. I think the playoff runs make it more memorable. Like your cousin, I ain't gonna lie, your cousin got robbed. He got robbed. He should have won unanimous. Maybe should have been the first. Everybody likes to talk about Jordan and what was it, '96? I think he was maybe 2 votes off. Was it 1 vote off in '96?
Two.
So and your cousin was 1 vote off in 2000. I think LeBron was 1 vote off in 20.
Carmelo Anthony in 13. Went to Carmelo
13. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I mean, when we look back at this, but Steph to be the only unanimous is just disgusting to me. Like I'll be honest with you.
It's not that Steph is the only one. It's the fact that he's the first one. That's the first.
Yeah,
like,
that's the biggest
if he was unanimous and it was 3 other dudes that did it before him, I don't think people would be tripping on him.
Of course. I mean, well, because when I look back at that year, we think of 73 wins. Obviously, winning matters. That's the highest criteria on the list. 30 points in 30 minutes. Leading the league in scoring, leading the league in points per minute per 36, or some shit like that. 50, 40, 90. Like
that was the only year he did
anything
that,
you can name.
That was the only year in his career he did that. That was the only year.
That's the only year. That was the only year in his career he did that, and it's hard to do. But to put that as the first unanimous, and now that we know we know, and going back to your cousin in 2000, going back to Jordan in 96, going back to LeBron in 2013. we looking back at it, we just like, man, come on. This is the first.
The problem, Leaf, is that now that's the bar. That's what the problem is, right? So when you have a guy, because I'm on record, even though I don't mind Steph Curry winning the league MVP in 2016, I thought Kawhi Leonard.
Oh my God, bro!
You know how I feel about
that. Yo, come on, you died on this sword already. You died. Look,
my dead body is on that hill. My dead body is on that hill.
Chill town. No funny. I saw the episode when you tried to bring this up. You didn't have nobody on your side on this one.
My dead body is up there on that hill.
You got shot up, bro. Like you got reloaded. On that hill. Bro, have you ever seen Street Kings? When whatchamacallit ran up in the shop, they got shot in the back. They reloaded up. That was you. Like
my dead body is on that hill. I'm dying.
Like I'm saying to myself, I'm like, listen, I think for the talking point of it, I think you made a fair point, but it was hard to argue 73-9 that year, let alone argue 30 points a game, which was the league leader in 30 minutes. It was hard to argue. It's just a lot of stuff that year, just in that year in particular. Now I understand that, but to get back to what you were saying, for us now we have a problem with that being the first.
Yes,
that's what we have a problem with it being. But to go back to the list of the MVPs, I'll be honest with you, like outside of the basketball that I've seen, because I think Tim Duncan 03 year was incredible. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think his 03 year was incredible. I'm not even looking at the numbers, but we looking at a carry job, like in terms of offensive production and anchoring a defense that entire year from start to finish. Yes, number one defense in the league and Finals MVP. I think that puts the kind of the icing on the cake, because when I think about your cousin, obviously in 2000, when I think about Duncan in 03, when I think about Elijah Wan, we didn't even bring up Elijah Wan in 94. Yes, I think didn't he win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP that year? Mm-hmm. When I think about Giannis, the year that Giannis had when he won MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, I think to myself, man, like these are so many trifectas that you can't really ignore as top ones. But the thing is, when I go through the numbers, you brought up 72 Kareem, and I'm looking at this shit. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, I think he was 35 and like 16 or 17 that year. I thought it was 18. Yeah,
and I don't even see the year where Wilt was averaging 50 and 26. Who won it that year?
Bill Russell won it in 62 that year. He was 19 and 22 that year.
Oh my God.
That was a tricky year, Leaf, because that was the same year. That was a tricky year. I mean,
Elgin Baylor averaging like 20 and 20?
No, he averaged almost 40 and 20 that year.
40 and 20, bro. We're talking about video game type of shit. You walk up the crib, I'm like, what the
Bob Pettit. I think Bob Pettit finished in 5th or 6th place. He went 32 and 18. That's almost 30 and 20.
God damn. Yeah. Listen, and I know this. I don't know if anything will ever equivalent to the 62 race. Ever. Like, I doubt it if we ever see that type of race ever again. But when I look at the scale, and I'm gonna get to another point before I leave. When I get to the scale of things, I can see why you got the Kareem 72 high. I can see why you got the Wilt, what was that, 67? 67?
Mm-hmm.
67 so high. It was a big difference between 60 and 67. You see, because you really value the playmaking. You really value when he turned into a passer. It's a lot of it, yeah. But
that was the difference in him winning. That was the difference in him, and that was regardless of everything that he did. That was the difference
of them getting when he turned into a passer. But I wanted to ask you another thing. Right now, before I leave, best player in this year's past draft.
The best player.
Yes,
I think it's this kid that Oklahoma City got, Topic. I think it's going to be him.
I'm talking about right now. Today,
I think it's going to be
right
Zach
now.
Edey. I think it's going to be Zach.
Yeah, I do too. Now, if it is Topic, I think that I'm looking at the injuries that he had, and I'm thinking to myself, like, What was he? I think he had like 2 injuries before he turned 20.
Yep.
Something like that. Two surgeries. I'm thinking, is that kind of giving you Ricky Rubio vibes a little bit?
No. Because
you remember Ricky Rubio, like when he came in and phenomenal facilitator.
He was a
sensation. So 100% he was a very sensation. But I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be a great bill of health that you got, like to lead that. Like what you think? What you think about Topich overall going forward? Because I know he's gonna get redshirted this year. What you think? Because you thought you mentioned Topich. What you think about Topich going forward?
First of all, as a big guard, as smart as he is, the distributor that he is, I don't think he's staying in Oklahoma City. I think he's going to end up
about 6'7". Yeah, I think you think he needs his own team.
Yeah, I think he should be running.
I think he do too.
Yeah,
I think me personally, I was at the big interest of making a trade for him because, as you know, we are sellers. We just got Killian Hayes, which I think is a bad luck charm, but me personally.
But it's good though. But it's good though, and the reason why it's good is no. Here's why it's good, Leaf. Stop, Leaf. Stop it, Leaf. Here's why it's good. What business are you in right now, Leaf?
We are in the business of tanking. Now,
well, you want to be as garbage as possible.
Here's the problem with this. Here's the problem with this. When you in the business of tanking, you don't need no bad juju. You don't need somebody that came from a team that couldn't get a top 3 pick when they was damn garbage. They just lost 28 straight games, and I don't need that bad luck shit in my organization. That's what I don't need. That's what I don't need. But to get back to Topich, before I leave, I think he's a phenomenal facilitator. You mentioned him being about 6'6", 6'7". I think going forward, I don't think OKC is the team for him. I think with us being in the sellers market, with CJ, we're trying to get off CJ, we're trying to get off PFS. I think a facilitator and a great passer for our team in the future, because we obviously going young. We obviously need to get up and down. And I'm looking more at Ace Bailey than Cooper Flag, because I think Cooper Flag probably gonna land in Portland. Maybe I think one of them picks, man. I don't really think Cooper Flag is for us. But I think Ace Bailey, if you haven't watched Ace Bailey yet, watch some Rutgers games this year.
I will.
And him and Dylan Harper, I think that this kid is drawing comparisons to T-Mac, Kevin Durant, Paul George, all in one. Mm-hmm. So realistically, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, we got the defense with Clowney and Claxton. My thing is if you add some more offensive talent to that, this kid is 6'10", 6'11". He can put it on the floor, drive. He can finish at the basket, contact. He can shoot move without the ball. A lot of stuff going on with these kids in this draft. And to get to what you were saying about I think Zach Edey, as of right now, is the best player in this draft, and I'm confident that the Memphis Grizzlies will be a top 5 team in the West. Confident. I'm damn confident.
We're gonna find out. All right, Leaf. I know where to find you.
They might be higher than OKC. And offer me something to drink next time. You stay on offering nobody no shit.
Look how you are right now. You coming to my house screaming at me? You coming to my house screaming on me? I mean,
but you ain't offering me shit.
I'm good, yo. I'll catch you later, Leaf. I'm good, Leaf. I'll catch you later, brother. It's about that time for me, guys. I gotta bounce. It was good to see y'all tonight. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know where to find me. If I'm not here, I'm on a panel weekdays from 11 to 2 on Players Choice Network. If I'm not there, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m., I'm on TikTok, Good Morning NBA. Or I'm here Tuesday nights, Chill Town Hoops with my man Tony Tone. We do Fluent and Chill. And on Saturdays, we're back on YouTube on the Players Choice Network. We're back on YouTube with Chill at 12 o'clock. So I'm not hard to find there. So I'm not hard to find at all. If you're looking for me, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button and you'll definitely find me. So it was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. The last time you talked to your mother? I just talked to my mother a couple of days ago. She good. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight.